All right, hello everyone. Thank you for joining me this evening on the topic of the day, which is all about mindfulness. So we're going to be looking today at this concept of mindfulness, and we're going to be looking at how we can introduce mindfulness practices into our daily lives. So please feel free to ask any questions at any point. There's no need to put them on the chat. Just please unmute yourself and ask away. I find that asking questions and sharing stories is a really great way for everyone else who's participating this evening to also learn. So please do feel free to ask whenever you have a question. So let's begin. So what is mindfulness? So mindfulness is basically being fully present in the moment. Mindfulness is such a key term these days, isn't it? We hear it everywhere, and we don't really understand fully what it is. And it has developed into such a trendy concept now that I think it has been lost a little bit in how we can adopt mindfulness practices in our day-to-day lives. But in a nutshell, if I had to define mindfulness, it simply means being fully present in the moment. More depth to that, mindfulness is where we direct our attention to a specific object of focus in the present moment. We do this very intentionally, and we do so without making any judgment on whatever it is that arises within us whilst we're focusing our attention. And that's the key to mindfulness. And I'm going to go through each of these aspects in detail this evening, so that hopefully you can get this depth and level of understanding, so that you can really see mindfulness as a practice you can do all the time throughout your day. We know that mindfulness is a great technique to calm the mind and bring us back into balance when life kind of hits us in the face. So mindfulness, simply put, is being here now. And if we can adopt this practice in our daily life, watch the magic happen. What mindfulness is not is being very specifically, it's not a specific activity. You can use it all the time. We remove judgment. When we're being judgmental about ourselves or others or an event, we're actually not being mindful at all. And mindfulness does not involve any effort in our concentration. It's something that we learn to do naturally in a process that feels really good, like being in a flow state. So if we actually have to put a lot of effort into concentrating, that actually is not being mindful. And it's about not thinking about the past or the future, trying to release those memories we have of the past and all the attachments we put on them. And also stopping ourselves from making up all these fantastical stories about the future, which hasn't been written yet. We actually don't really know what's going to happen. All we do know is about being the present moment. It's the only thing that we know is really truth. And mindfulness is when we release resistance. We resist constantly throughout our day. And when we're constantly resisting, we actually lose sight of a lot of things. So we start controlling things when we add resistance into what we're doing day to day, minute by minute. What mindfulness is a state of being. It's very objective. We actually choose an object to concentrate upon. And when we concentrate and focus on that object or on an objective, we actually do so with a relaxed awareness, something that just feels natural in a flow state. And we know this kind of flow state. I'm sure all of us have been driving and haven't really recognized the journey. We've just automatically, mindfully gone from A to B. It's that relaxed all-knowingness, and that gives you a mindful presence. And it is indeed about being focused on the present moment. One thing in my years as a meditation teacher is really trying to get rid of that incessant chatter, which is always about the past or future. We are constantly regurgitating thoughts and memories. And we are doing anything but being in the present moment. And it's about accepting where we are, what we're feeling, how we're reacting, without judging ourselves for that. It's just allowing ourselves to be as is. So this is just a little summary of what mindfulness is, and certainly what mindfulness is not. So it's very interesting, the relationship between mindfulness and meditation. And mindfulness is very much distinguished from meditation, even though we do practice mindful meditations. That's where the two align and merge. But in a nutshell, mindfulness is actually where we use our mind to focus on something. Where meditation, the aim of that is to actually be in nothingness. So meditation, we're looking for that space in between the thoughts, that space in between the breaths that takes us into a state of complete nothingness. Whereas mindfulness, we actually are using our mind and our practices to focus on something. So mindfulness can be often external, and creating something within our mind that is productive and positive for us and our personal growth and our spiritual evolution, compared to meditation, where we're trying to just be in a complete sense of nothingness and space. So that's the difference, but they do merge. And some of the practices in meditation are used in mindfulness practices. So they do link quite nicely, but generally that's the difference. So I've tried to simplify this whole concept of mindfulness because it is just such a wide, broad spectrum of a practice and a modality. But if I had to break it down into 3 objectives, this is what they would be. We try and cultivate within ourselves an intention, we focus our attention, and we adopt a certain attitude of being present and non-judgmental. So mindfulness, the objective of it is to allow us to cultivate these 3 things. And what you'll find is if you do start to cultivate these 3 things, you will become more happy, more joyful. It will be a sustained fulfillment that you see in your life. You will find yourself on this path that is smooth and shiny like the yellow brick road, rather than walking on the rocks next to it, because this is what you really need in order to be present with yourself and with the people and situations around you. So I will go through each of these in turn now to give you a bit more of an idea of what I'm talking about. Intention is effectively the why. Intention is what creates our reality. It's the seed we plant before we take the action in order to manifest into our life what we really want. Without intention, we will never manifest or get what we truly need. We must intend for it to happen. And so it's the why of mindfulness. And it's about cultivating awareness of the moment. And your intention is to bring yourself back into that present moment again and again, because we all know our inner critic, our constant mind chatter, this monkey mind, as we call it in meditation, that jumps from thought to thought the same way a monkey jumps from a branch to branch on a tree. So the intention of mindfulness practice is actually to bring ourselves into a place where we're aware when our incessant mind chatter clicks in, and we bring ourselves into the present moment. And the more we do this, we actually retrain our brain to be more present more often, and it requires less and less effort. So we always start mindfulness practice by setting our intention to be present and aware and focused. The second point is attention, and that could be defined as the what. And this is what we're doing. We are focusing our attention on an object or an activity. And we keep our attention through observing what we're doing during that activity or focus on an object. And our attention needs to be with a little gentle effort. A lot of kindness is required when we practice mindfulness. So we do need some effort, but it needs to be a gentle, forgiving, loving, kind effort. And then we become present to whatever we are experiencing. And what I mean by that is allowing yourself to feel the emotion that comes up. Allowing yourself to see what you're seeing right in front of you. And I'm going to go through a few mindful daily practices that I hope you can adopt into your daily life instantly after this webinar, and you'll understand more what I mean by attention when we do that. But we just use a little bit of effort, not a concentrated, hardcore effort when we practice mindfulness. And the last thing is our attitude, and this is the how. And we practice mindfulness by not judging our experience as good or bad. We don't judge it as pleasant or unpleasant, welcome or unwelcome. We simply just allow it. We allow ourselves to do it in the way that we're doing it at that time. And we simply accept whatever arises as is. So this really is a switch in our overactive brains, especially, in the world we live in, which is constantly filled with distractions. To simply accept what's happening and allowing it to arise will take you into a complete sense of calmness. And we allow things to arise and then let them pass. This is the important thing. The minute that we hold on to something that is arising within us, the minute that we attach a thought, a memory to that, then we lose our potential to be in the present moment. We go back into the past or we worry about the future. So just like a wave on an ocean, we allow that wave to come in and we travel up the peak of the wave, knowing that we're traveling up the peak, but also knowing we will come down the backside of that wave and that wave will pass by. We don't get caught up in the wave. We just allow ourselves to be carried and come down. So we allow whatever arises to arise and we allow it to pass in the same non-judgmental, easy, kind, loving, curious way. And I've mentioned the word kind a lot because one of the things that I know from personal experience and for all the students I teach and the clients that come to me for meditation, it's about being kind to ourselves, something that our internal inner critic doesn't allow that often. So just be gentle and kind and allow yourself the same love and kindness you show to others. And again, that will help magnify your ability to be practicing mindfulness in your daily life. So I've talked about the 3 objectives. Let's now look at, again, a simplified version. I've broken it down into 3 simple steps that make up mindful practice. So the first step is awareness. The second is presence, and the third is acceptance. So these are the 3 steps we go through, whatever we're choosing as our object of focus, in order to stay mindful. Let's go through awareness first. So the awareness comes from maintaining a moment-by-moment awareness of our thoughts, our feelings, the sensations we're feeling in our body, and what's happening around us externally in this moment, in the space that we are. It's paying attention to exactly what we're doing in that moment, whether it's writing a report, washing the dishes, or trying to meditate. Just paying attention to exactly what we're doing without the distractions getting hold of us and taking our attention away. And your awareness needs to be imbued with curiosity, non-judgment, and again, that word, kindness. One of the biggest things with meditation and mindfulness practice is this incessant need to control it and try. You don't need to do any of these things. And when you actually give up that control, that resistance, and just come in from curiosity to see where this experience is going to lead, the magic will start happening really, really quickly, even instantaneously for you. The second step is that once we become aware, we need to accept. So by paying attention to our thoughts, feelings, body sensations, the external environment, we do it without judgment. Now, we are constantly judging ourselves. We are always deciding whether we're a good person, a bad person, whether our reaction was right or wrong. We do this to ourselves, and we also then project that out by doing it to others and the situations we find ourselves in. But just by accepting that I'm feeling what I'm feeling at this moment, I'm doing what I'm doing at this moment, and removing that judgment about what it is allows you to come into a place of complete acceptance. We transcend our beliefs that something is good or bad, right or wrong. Now, transcending our beliefs also allows us to transcend our ego, that thinking, rational, logical part of ourselves that doesn't really serve us in our spiritual growth and personal growth and our path to happiness. So our beliefs are there, yes, and they do serve us in life to some extent. And it does create the person that we put out to the world to see. And it allows us to know what our moral compass is, what our principles are. But by transcending those and coming into a place of accepting who you are in this moment, doing what you're doing, is magical. It's freeing, it's liberating, and it allows you to reconnect with your authentic self, your truth, who you really are, not these layers that we have just piled on ourselves since about the age of 7, over and over, creating new personas, new layers, new masks. Transcending our beliefs and coming into acceptance allows us to reconnect to our soul consciousness, our truth, and our authentic self. Acceptance also allows us to really clearly see and know and allow things to be exactly as they are. Again, just giving up that control. Acceptance is a key to happiness. And the third step is being present within your mindful practice. This is the key. Be in the here and the now. What we know is the past has already happened. And in fact, we know through science that what we actually store in our memory and in our subconscious mind as the past is actually not truly the past. It's the parts of the past we have chosen to attach a feeling to and file away. It's not real. It's not a true blueprint of what happened. It's our memory of that in the way that we've chosen to remember it. And of course, the future, unwritten. We have no idea what the future will hold. Yes, we have some learned behaviors and we have some knowledge and intellectual information that lets us predict what the future will potentially be. But we can never be 100% sure, because right in front of us right now are a million different options of how to behave, react, what to say, what to think. For example, right now, I could just turn off the presentation completely and walk away. I can stay here, be present with you and teach you about this amazing practice of mindfulness. I could just pick up a glass of water and drink. There are so many options ahead of us right now of what I could do next. None of us can truly predict what the future is. So by placing your full focus and the full focus of your attention in the present moment, you actually are here now with yourself in the only truth we can be sure of, because right now is the only thing we know is true and happening. And presence comes from experience rather than control in the moment. We just simply sit back and experience what's going on, coming from a place of calmness with that experience, not trying to control it, just allowing it. And by experiencing the exact moment you're in right now, you become present. But we need to be open to that moment. And as you can see from the way I'm talking, all these things are interlinked. Being open to the moment requires you to be aware, attentive. It requires you to gently focus on what's happening without judgment. And as I've talked about before, it's about accepting the experience rather than resisting it or wanting things to be done differently or in a way that you prefer. It's just complete allowing and acceptance of where you are right now. So let's move forward. If anyone has any questions, please do just jump in. So we're going to look at now some of the benefits of mindfulness. We know that mindfulness is a really, really positive thing for us to adopt in our life. And we know now through scientific research and studies that mindfulness has so many benefits. In fact, mindfulness practices and meditation are being used to treat post-traumatic stress disorder, chronic pain, all these things that before we didn't really know how to cope with and would take pharmaceutical, allopathic, treatments and medications for. Now we don't need to, because we can evoke the same reactions in our physical body, our emotional body, and our mental body simply by practicing mindfulness. So let's have a look at some of these benefits. These are some of the mental benefits of mindfulness. What we know from mindfulness is that it does increase the brain gerification, and this is the brain tissue that's all folded up. And we know that the more folds we have in this brain tissue, the more information is stored and the more positive effect it has on our ability to cope. And so what we know is that mindfulness does allow the brain to process information more efficiently, producing a much better grasp on life stresses. We reduce anxiety. As I've said, it fights post-traumatic stress disorder. We know also that it helps regulate our emotions. So rather than being emotionally driven, we feel the emotion, but we don't react to it. We just allow that emotion to be there to guide us intuitively into what is the right path and the wrong path for us in that moment. It fights anxiety and depression. It helps with memory loss. It can also help you focus, so academic and work performance is greatly increased in people who practice mindfulness regularly. So stress reduction is really one of the biggest ailments of modern day. And, as a therapist, it's incredible how we just live in stress response all the time. What mindfulness does is actually allows us to become much more aware of our thoughts and their nature. Like the layering of our thoughts are just incredible. We know what it's like when we get caught on one of those YouTube journeys where you go to look at one thing, next thing you know, it's been an hour later and you're looking at cats in socks or something. It's just crazy how we follow those with thoughts as well. One thought can turn into a million other thoughts, leading us into the past, the future, and certainly taking us away from being present. And understanding the nature of our thoughts, why we've gone there, why we're thinking in the way we do, allows us to change our reactions. Mindfulness allows us to deal with our thoughts in a really skillful way. So we're able to control which thoughts enter our mind and which ones we just allow to pass like a cloud or like a leaf floating along a river. We use mindfulness really skillfully. And this is a big difference between meditation, which is very internal. Mindfulness gives us skill sets to allow certain thoughts in and keep other thoughts out because we don't even pay attention to them anymore. It allows us to step away and observe our thoughts and our reactions to people, to situations. We stop reacting to it. And when we stop our stress response, we become really calm and at peace with what's going on. Our reactions become completely different. If our stress response is not initiated, even though the same situation or person is there, it's not as intense for us. and it doesn't last as long. So the peace comes so much more quickly. We also know that it reduces our emotional reactions. Now, emotions are there for a reason. It helps us deal with that fight or flight response. It allows us to really understand where we're coming from and what we need to do to be safe or happy or protected or joyful. Whichever emotion comes up, it's there for a reason. But we move over control of emotions. We no longer are controlled by them. We actually control them and how long they stay with us and our reactions to them. And the improved focus and cognitive ability when you practice mindfulness every day and regularly is just phenomenal. We know from research that mindfulness practitioners are much more productive in work, much more able to get things done, much more organized, much more focused, because they are acting rather than reacting. So these are just a few things that can help with the stress responses. But also mindfulness has been shown to have a lot of physical benefits. And what's interesting is this connection between our mind and emotional response and reactions and how that affects us on a physical level. Everything starts in an energy form, a thought formation, a reaction formation. It's all actually coming from inside our mind and then coming out as a frequency. Now, what happens is when we create this low vibration frequency through overthinking, overreaction, being over emotional, it actually has a very physical effect on our body. So what we know is that by reducing stress through mindful practice and removing anxiety through mindful practice, you will actually reduce a lot of inflammation. You will reduce chronic pain, things like, the really horrible things that our body deals with when we're under a lot of stress, like irritable bowel syndrome, ulcers, all these things, the blood pressure, heart issues, all these get reduced the minute we introduce mindfulness into our day. It also slows down progression of viruses and diseases. It stops insomnia. It improves your sleep. People who practice meditation and mindfulness have really good night's sleeps, and their patterns of sleep, it actually reduces. You sleep for less time, but feel like you've had that proper rest. It also is great for weight loss. And this was a real side effect of mindfulness practice that has come out. When we're not stressed, we don't eat as much. And when we're not stressed, we don't hold on to those fatty tissues, which actually are like a comfort blanket that we hold on to. People who practice mindfulness during their weight loss regimes lose weight far more quickly than those that do not practice mindfulness and just do the diet. And we know that it can also help with all the common colds and flus as well. People who practice mindfulness recover a lot more quickly from those common viruses. All of this has been proved now by studies and science. And you can find a lot of information online if you're interested in finding out more. So I'm going to take us now through 5 daily mindful techniques that I hope that you will start practicing. At least try them. You've got nothing to lose whatsoever, right? If we're in a stress state, if we find that we're not happy in life, that life's not flowing, that we're reacting in ways that sometimes we don't even recognize ourselves, why not try these things? I recommend you try each of them and see how they work for you, and then just choose the ones that you know that you can commit to. You don't need to do all of these, just find one or maybe 1 or 2 that you like, because what we also know from the human brain is that when we like something, we're more likely to do it. And when we're adding mindfulness techniques into our day, I do recommend that you start off by attaching it to a habit that you already have. So for example, if you want to practice mindful breathing, maybe do it the minute your alarm clock goes off. or just after you brush your teeth or have that first cup of morning coffee. So any daily habit that you're in the routine of having, try and attach these to those, and then you're more likely to continue with them. So let's have a look at the first one. Mindful breathing. Now, this is one of those mindful practices that is very much used in meditation as well. So mindful breathing is all about simply breath sensing, paying attention to your breath in various ways. The most simple way of mindful breathing is to actually just pay attention to your breath as is. So just feeling the sensations of your breath as you inhale and as you exhale, without trying to change the breath at all. Going deeper into mindful breathing, you can start feeling the sensations of the breath, feeling how the air enters your nostrils, how it tickles the tip of your nose, maybe those little hairs in your nostrils, how it enters through the back of your nose and goes down into your body, feeling quite cool as the air enters. And then also sensing the breath as it leaves your body, feeling that warm air coming out of your mouth this time rather than out of the nose, feeling the sensations as the air comes through the lips. And moving forward into a more deeper mindful breathing, you also then can add the sensations of the body. So how the air feels as it comes in, it enters your nose, it comes down through your windpipe, and feel your belly expand slightly. And as you begin the exhale, you'll feel your belly gently release as it comes up and pushes out through your mouth. So why don't we all now just do a few minutes of mindful breathing, and I will guide you through it. So if you'd like to practice this with me right now, I invite you to sit in a comfortable position. You can be cross-legged, you can be sitting in a chair, it really doesn't matter. And this is the beauty of mindful breathing, because you can do it anywhere at any time, at your desk, you can do it on the metro, you can do it stuck in a traffic jam. You can use this technique, and even 15, 30 seconds of mindful breathing will be enough to deactivate your nervous system, activate your parasympathetic system, and come into a place of calmness and serenity, coming into a place of balance. So I invite you now to find yourself in a comfortable seated position. Your hands can be just resting on the lap, face down, or even face up. If you like to use any hand gestures, your finger and thumb touching, or your hands resting in your lap, one on top of each other, all of this is fine. There is no wrong way to be seated for mindful breathing. So let's begin then by closing our eyes. And just feeling, first of all, how your body feels as it's being supported by the floor or the chair or the sofa. Just allowing that bottom half of your body to be completely heavy and supported. And now straighten your spine, growing tall through the spine and allowing the shoulders to gently roll back and the arms to be heavy. Let's push our heart center forward. And again, reminding your arms to be heavy, the shoulders relax and melting down. The chin is slightly level with the floor or even a little bit tilted forward. Allow your jaw to completely relax here and allow your eyes to rest heavily in the sockets, relaxing the muscles of your forehead, the sides of the eyes, the side of the mouth. And from here, let's all together exhale. Now on your next inhale, just a normal breath, just see how that feels. Inhaling through your nose and exhaling through your mouth. No control here, just bringing your mind's eye, your complete focus, your complete attention on how it is that you breathe. Just breathing as is. Perhaps paying attention to which parts of your body also move on your inhales and your exhales, but not deepening your breath at all. All your focus on the sensations of the breath. If your monkey mind comes in with thoughts, just allow that thought to pass by bringing your full focus on the object of mindfulness, which is the breath. And you may wish to stay here, just focusing on your breath as is. Or if you want to go a little bit deeper, on your next inhale, feel the cool air as it enters your nostrils. And feel the warmth of the air as it leaves through slightly parted lips. Feeling the sensations inside your nostrils on the inhale. And then sensations in your mouth and lips on the exhale. And just continue here for a few more breaths. Perhaps even starting to hear the inhale and the exhale. And going a little bit deeper now, if you choose to, of course. On your next inhale, draw that breath in deeper so that your belly slightly expands. And allow the belly to fully relax as the air is pushed up and out through your mouth. Inhaling, drawing the air in deeply to your belly. And exhaling, allowing the air to be released as your belly relaxes. And now see if you can put all those sensations together. The air as it enters through your nose, expanding your belly. The warm air leaving through your mouth as your belly relaxes. And now just coming back to your normal breath. Perhaps being much more aware now of the sensations of your breath as you normally breathe in and out. And whenever you're ready, gently opening your eyes. So hopefully just that short 3-minute practice is enough to already bring you into a more peaceful place. I certainly do. And it's nice here, right? It's nice when we feel calm and at peace. And what I love about mindful breathing is the breath is always there. We don't need to do anything. It's there for you always. So I invite you over the next week to practice 3 minutes of mindful breathing every day and watch how that changes you. The second practice is mindful listening. Now, this one can be done again anywhere that you are, and you can do it for as long as you want. So what you can do to begin with mindful listening is actually just spend a few moments focusing on what sounds are around you. So of course you've got my voice, but maybe you can hear some traffic from outside, the air conditioning unit. Just pay attention to what noises you're hearing right now wherever you've joined me for this webinar, and label them. So just one at a time, find about 5 noises. And now the second part of mindfulness listening is that we're going to switch from noise to noise. So now you've identified around 5 noises. Choose that first noise and then find the second noise. And now the third noise. And now the fourth noise. And now the last noise. And keep going on this cycle of just finding each individual noise and not hearing them together. And let's just practice this for a couple of rounds. You don't need to spend long at all on mindful listening. See if you can focus in on the individual sound one after another. And the third step of mindful listening is to hear all of the sounds at once. So take a deep breath in to practice this. And on your exhale, start hearing all the sounds around you at the same time. Now, this does take quite a bit of practice, but if you start practicing, you'll find that you will be completely surrounded by an incredible amount of calming noise. And what I love about mindful listening is that when we're able to listen holistically to everything that's around us without being distracted by it, we can focus our attention on anything at any time. We don't become distracted anymore. So mindfulness listening, this is a very easy way for you to start practicing. But then you can actually advance yourself by listening properly to people who are speaking. Because what we all know and we're all guilty of is actually not really listening to conversations. We're actually not just hearing the words, we're planning what we're going to say in response. We're assessing and judging what the person's saying, even if that's unconsciously. So once you've mastered listening holistically to the sounds around you, practice the same technique when people are speaking with you, and you'll actually hear all of what they're saying, all those spaces underneath the words, the emotions behind the words, the stories behind the words will become very obvious for you. And when you practice mindful listening to other people, they will naturally start practicing it back. Your communication skills will be incredible if you practice mindful listening. So the third mindful practice I invite you to try are mindful chores. Now, all of us have to make the bed in the morning. Well, not all of us, but most of us will choose to make the bed in the morning. And it's a great way when you wake up to start your day mindfully. How often do we just pull the duvet over, plump up the pillows, and there it goes? We're already thinking about work, the emails, all of the messages we've got to send. We're probably even glancing at WhatsApp whilst we're making our bed. But I invite you for the next 7 days to change that and use making the bed as a mindful practice. Start by practicing mindful breathing before you do anything else. Come into your center with mindful breath sensing. And then when you're making the bed, rather than just make it, look at the material, look at the creases, look at the shapes that are being made by the bed linen, and try and smooth out that bed really mindfully. Make it your only and absolute focus for the moments that you're doing this. And master mindful bed making, and then practice on every other chore that we do mindlessly with our head full of thoughts, whether that's washing a cup, vacuuming the floor, hanging out laundry. Practice this on all your mindful chores, and I promise you, they won't be chores anymore. They'll be enjoyments as you interact fully and completely with them. And the next one, mindful eating, one of my favorites. Mindful eating is phenomenal. The amount of times we just shovel food into our body without paying any attention to the taste, the texture, anything. We just know we need to eat because we're humans and we have to put nutrition into our body, and therefore we eat. So whether you're just having a coffee, a croissant, or a full meal at a restaurant, Start practicing mindful eating. It will change your relationship with food. And in fact, people who have issues with their weight on either end of the spectrum, they can actually heal that relationship with their body through mindful eating. Again, this has been proven by research. So how do we practice mindful eating? Well, first of all you need to do is adopt all your senses. So what you can do is actually look at the food first. Look at the colors, the shapes, the textures. Just look at it. Actually acknowledge it with your eyes. From there, you can actually start smelling the foods. Actually pay attention to what aromas are coming off your plate or out of your cup. And then as you put that first mouthful into your mouth, actually allow it to rest on your tongue so you can actually feel the weight of the food and taste every part, every profile of that thing, whether it's sweet, salty, sour. Just pay attention to the different flavor profiles that are now in your mouth. And then you mindfully swallow and feel how the food is as it comes down into your stomach. And you will actually feel the food or the drink moving down. Feel the warmth, the temperature, the sensations as your body reacts to that food going into your belly. It's really simple practice, mindful eating. And again, something you can do at your desk with a coffee or at lunch break. You can use this at any time. So next time you have a meal in front of you, try this. It's a really beautiful way to really enjoy food again. And finally, the fifth mindful practice I suggest you can try easily over the next week is mindful queuing. You may have guessed from my accent that I'm very British, and in Britain we love a good queue. And so we will stand in a line for hours on end, quite happily. But how often do we do that without our mind being full? So instead of a full mind while you're queuing, try mindful queuing. And check in on your reaction, your emotional response when you first see the queue. And allow that to arise without judgment, whether it's anger, frustration, or even gratitude because you've got some time to just rest. So check in, what's my reaction when you see that you have to queue? And then start bringing your senses to your body. What's my posture? Am I slouching? Am I straight? Am I facing forward? Am I sideways on? Just bring all your attention to what your physical body is doing as you're waiting. And then we come back again to the breath. And what you can do with the queuing is bring your attention into that expansion of your belly and chest on the inhale, and how your chest and belly relax on the exhale. So I invite you the next time that you walk into a bank or into Starbucks, rather than just standing there on WhatsApp, put your phone away and just enjoy queuing. And I can assure you, by the time that you get to the counter, you'll be in such a calm and peaceful place that nothing will rile you, whatever you're there to do. So those are just 5 examples of how you can start introducing mindfulness into your daily practice. And I really hope that you try them all and then find the ones that you know will work for you. With mindfulness, there is no trying. So if you have to put force into it, just don't do it. It's just not aligning with you right now. Choose something that you can do, that you will succeed at and that you will enjoy. But I promise you, you start adopting these, life will be a whole lot sweeter. So coming to the end of my webinar then, I just love this little cartoon. Our body is always present. So what you need to ask yourself is your mind? That's the only thing we need to do to cultivate real peace, harmony, and happiness in a sustained way in our life. And I have to end on a quote by the master of being present, Eckhart Tolle. And I love this. What he simply states is, wherever you are, be there totally. So that's the end of my webinar this evening. So please, have we got time for questions? So does anyone out there have any questions, comments, want to share an experience or story? It's always lovely to hear from you. No, we've got some shy people maybe. All right, no problem. So whilst we have a bit of time, I'll just go through a few things that I've got going on over the next weeks. Maybe you'd like to join me and I can meet you in person. So I am a meditation teacher and teacher trainer, actually, as well as a yoga teacher trainer. I've been practicing meditation for a very long time, over 25 years. And teaching for around 12 years now. So I do have a meditation online and on site next week, and it's going to be Om chanting. So the focus of our attention becomes Om. And I love mantra meditation because it really does get us into a beautiful flow state. So you're welcome to join me either at JLT Illuminations for that, or online is also a magical experience during these meditations. For those of you interested in Reiki and energy healing, I do have level 1, 2, and 3 coming up over the next couple of months, so you can see the dates there. And then I've got another webinar in a couple of weeks, and it's going to be about the chakras and crystals and how we can use crystals to tune up our chakras and get our energy and our aura back in flow with those two modalities. And for those of you who are looking to really get more into a mindfulness and meditation practice, then I do have a certified course. Level 1, which is the foundation course, which has been approved by the Dubai Health Authority and the Department of Knowledge. This certified course will take you through the basic steps of mindfulness and meditation. Level 2 will be later on this year, and that will take you into a deeper practitioner level. So if you are interested in expanding your knowledge of mindfulness and meditation practice and seeing how you really can cultivate peaceful happiness in your life, then I do invite you to join me there on the 23rd of July. This is at Illuminations JLT, and it is possible to also do this course online live with me on that date. So again, if anyone wants to pipe up and say anything or share anything, I invite you to do so. All right. Hello? Please, if you want to speak, just speak. I'm really hopeless on technology, so you can just unmute and speak if you'd like to.
Hi, good evening, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you very much. It's a wonderful session, very informative. Thank you very much. God bless you.
I'm glad you enjoyed. It's my pleasure.
I have a couple of things which popped up in my mind, just wanted to clarify with you.
Okay.
The mindfulness, which we did some few practices right now.
Yes.
I just wanted to know when we are in the mindfulness, are we connected to the higher self, something like that, when you get something extra senses?
Yeah, it's really interesting. What we do know from mindfulness and meditation is that it raises our frequency, it raises our energy, and it most definitely connects us to our soul consciousness. It connects us to our authentic self. So it allows us to come to that place of all-knowingness. So absolutely, the more you delve into meditation and mindfulness, you are able to raise your personal vibration and connect with your higher self. And as a result of that, we also naturally connect with the collective consciousness and the higher consciousness. So
universe consciousness.
Yeah, so these practices, most definitely, when practiced regularly, you will find yourself connecting to your all-knowingness and being connected to the divine consciousness. And you may even get insights and information And manifestation happens so much more easily when you are connected. So it's about bringing yourself into yourself in order so that you can expand outwards into the cosmic and collective consciousness. So a great question.
Yeah, the second one, I'm sorry, a little bit, just a second question only. The thing is that, if normally it is well said that healthy body is a healthy mind.
Yes.
Right. You were talking about a lot of things for the emotions, right?
Yes.
And what we normally, the new things which has come up, that our guts are the second brain, which generate a lot of emotions,
Yeah.
So if you have something, I don't have, suppose if I'm not, my body is not, my guts are not in a good combinations, right? Which affects the mind, or vice versa. Maybe the mind can make my guts much more diversified, more combination, good combination, because good bacteria, bad bacteria, both are essential for the healthy mind,
right,
healthy body, right?
Yeah.
So only the last thing, how much the mind control the body, what percentage, or the body control the mind?
Okay, so I don't know in percentage, but from my personal experience, I believe everything is just vibration. So what we know is that the mind and the gut put out a subtle energy, a much finer, lighter vibration than the physical dense body. So in my experience, we actually change everything through our mind vibrations. And it's actually reacting in our physical body. So we can heal every ailment, whether it's physical, emotional, or mental, through our mindful practices, because it's the frequency we change. We put out a high vibration frequency. Some good meditators and mindful practitioners actually go down into the theta state, which is the healing state. And so once we have that healing vibration going through us entirely, our physical body reacts to that and starts to heal. So from my personal experience, I believe that everything starts in the mind, because the mind is a much more subtle energy and frequency that we're putting out, and then it manifests in the physical. And so when we practice mindfully, for really experienced practitioners, they not only go into the theta frequency, they also go into the gamma frequency, which is high alertness. And so when you can get the theta and the gamma working together, that's where the magical healing happens. So it's, again, a really phenomenal question, a great question. So my personal experience and belief is we change our mind first, we rewire the brain, we rewire the frequencies within that mind, within that brain, and then the physical body naturally reacts and heals itself from that.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thanks for great questions. Thank you.
God bless you.
And you.
God bless you. Thank you. Yeah.
Well, those were great questions. Anyone else got any questions? All right. Well, if there's nothing else, then I will just say a very blessed good night to you guys. And I really hope that you get on with some of these practices. Hey, you got nothing to lose, right? It can only bring some goodness into your life and get you into flow. And please, I offer free 30-minute consultations at JLT Illuminations. So if you do want to come and meet me in person and have a chat, or if you want me to do a bit of an analysis on your chakras, see how your energy is, or give you any kind of advice and guidance, please do just contact Illuminations and they can set up a free 30-minute consultation. Otherwise, I hope to see you again online, or maybe at one of my courses, or on site. So take care, enjoy the rest of your evening, and whatever you do, do it mindfully. Okay, good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.